I am terrified of tornadoes. Like, maybe it's a tad over the top, but they just scare the bejesus out of me. I think they're one of the scariest things that nature can throw at you. Tornadoes and sinkholes are like my top two. And sinkholes are really actually not all that ridiculous because I am from Florida and we get a lot of sinkholes. Like, there was a highway about 10 minutes away from my house and a portion of it got sucked right into a sinkhole, and there was like a motorist that was stranded like half in the sinkhole, and it's a whole thing. Like, they're all over Central Florida. So sinkholes are terrifying, and so are tornadoes. Tornadoes I've been scared of since I was a little kid, and I totally blame it on my mother, who loved the movie Twister. So, you know, that's a terrifying movie for like a 5-year-old, and she watched it a lot. So yeah, good times. I am just really, really, really scared of tornadoes. So, you know, in Florida, tornadoes are not really like that big a deal. Like, as it turns out, Florida does actually lead the nation for the highest number of tornadoes per year on average than anywhere else, but they tend to be pretty small. You know, they're not these like giant like F4, F5 tornadoes that come running through and destroy everything and kill a bunch of people. Like, we don't tend to get a lot of that stuff. You know, and actually, unless there's like a hurricane coming through, because tornadoes can kind of follow on like the outer edges of a hurricane and kind of create extra damage and chaos. So, you know, that's a thing. But there are not a whole lot of other weather thingies that really scare me. Partially because of Florida, you know, we get a lot of really bad storms and stuff like that. So I feel fairly well prepared and acquainted with a lot of other things, you know, because like stuff like hail, that's not a big deal at all. You just stop and wait for it to pass, and I can't even imagine the size of hail that it would take to like come ripping through my ceiling in the bus. You know, like, we're super safe in here because of that. You know, big lightning storms, because Florida is the lightning capital of the US, and we do lead the nation in lightning related death, so that's pretty fun and exciting, I guess. And you know, but we get a lot of lightning because we get a lot of storms in the afternoon. They're these big, huge thunderstorms that are generally fairly short but big, and so there is a lot of cloud to ground lightning. You know, it's just a thing that happens. But buses are actually really good Faraday cages, so I'm safer inside my bus than I am outside of it. And you know, as long as I'm not touching metal inside, we're pretty good. You know, just put the windows up and wait it out, and then we're gonna be fine. But tornadoes are just, it's a whole other kettle of fish, and they really scare me. Even flash floods are not as scary as tornadoes, and flash floods kill more people than any other like weather related hazard that happens. And I think they're probably one of the more underrated dangers of weather related stuff. But you know, the bus, it would take so much water to move the bus out of the way. Like, it's not like a car, and it's not like I'm standing there. You know, we're probably on par right around with a semi truck, and so it would take a lot of water to start moving the bus. And so they're scary, and drowning is definitely totally scary, and it's not the way that I want to go at all. I did actually almost drown once. I was in high school, and I was on the diving team, like from high boards with all of the flips and stuff, and I got stuck in between those like big mats that you pull across the top of a swimming pool. And in my teenage wisdom was like, whatever, I'll just, you know, swim underneath it and it'll be totally fine. Except I didn't have my goggles on. I had contacts on, so I didn't open my eyes underneath the water, and it was really dark because it's covered by these mats. And I totally misjudged where I was going and came up underneath the mat. And so I'm stuck. These mats are really heavy, and I'm in like 13-meter deep water, and I couldn't get the strength to like lift myself and the mat out of the water. And so there was a moment of very severe panic where I thought for sure I was going to drown. So that's totally not a way that I want to go. But like hurricanes, I'm totally familiar with hurricanes. I've been through many, many hurricanes, you know, ever since I was a little kid. Like, it's just a thing that happens in Florida. And, you know, I think my senior year of high school, we started a month and a half late that school year because we had 3 hurricanes come through in a row. It was just hurricane after hurricane after hurricane. And hurricanes do a fair amount of damage, you know, but it's pretty simple what you do for them. If there's an evacuation order in place, you leave. You go. You obey that evacuation order and get out of town. And then if a hurricane were to come through now when we have the bus, we'd either drive the bus out of the way of danger, or we tarp it, put it in a field at my mom's house, and just wait the storm out with friends or relatives. Like, it's not a big deal. But tornadoes are so scary. And right now, we are in the DFW, so we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in North Texas, and that is actually technically part of like Tornado Alley, or the tornado belt of the Midwest kind of area. And so tornadoes here, like, no one else really seems to be terribly concerned about it, but it's a bigger problem here than it is in Florida, definitely. Let's put it that way. And we're about an hour away from Canton, which is where that big EF4 tornado went through last week. That caused a lot of damage, killed people. It was a really big, bad storm, and it did pass over us earlier in the day. And so we had already put our emergency plan in place, because I insist upon having emergency plans. So we were prepared for it to get really bad. It didn't. It rained and it dropped like 40 degrees, but it did go on to produce a really, really big, bad storm. So anyway, because of my general paranoia with storms, we've got emergency plans put in place. Like, what do we do in different scenarios involving tornadoes? Because they cause me an awful lot of anxiety. I don't think Mike actually realized the depths of how frightening I find tornadoes until we got caught unawares one night. So we were in the bus. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were sleeping. Everything was fine. I knew the forecast because I keep very up to date on the weather. I run 2 apps on my phone constantly. One's Weather Underground, which I like for their interface. It's really simple for sort of everyday weather checking. And I keep the National Weather Service. That's got all of the information from NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And so it's got a lot of information. It's more detailed. And I have both of those set up so they're permanently tied to my GPS location, so they update as I move. And they send me notifications if anything changes, like if watches or warnings or any hazards come up. Like, they let me know all of that stuff. I get alerts set up. So I'm really on top of the weather situation. I like to know what's coming at me, what I'm going to be looking at for the next few days. It just makes me feel a lot better about the entire situation. We're going to get a weather radio. We just haven't ordered it yet, but those are super cheap. You can get them all over the place. They're like $30 to $60. You can get at Walmart, on Amazon, and as long as they've got the NOAA stations, then they're totally good and definitely good things to have. So we're upgrading and getting one of those pretty soon. But, so this particular night, this is I think back in March maybe, we knew that it was going to be storming, but the storm got far more severe than it had been forecasted. And so we woke up in the middle of the night to the sirens going off, a tornado warning in place. Like, there was no watch, it went straight into warning. Tornado warning in place and very large hail. And I freaked out. I had a full-blown panic attack. I hyperventilated. I couldn't breathe. I almost threw up. I went into like the like scary, screechy panic crying situation, and I was fully convinced that we were going to die. Like, that was the end of it. That was how we were going out. Tornado was going to hit the bus and we were just dead. I was thoroughly convinced that we were dying that night. And I think my reaction was so scary to Mike that we established emergency plans, in the event that something ever happens, because it does make me feel a lot better to be prepared and to have sort of a mental plan in place for what we do in different kinds of bad weather situations. So basically what we do is, anytime that tornado pops up in the forecast, and the National Weather Service can be a little like blasé about tornadoes, like it'll forecast the possibility of a tornado or two, which I feel is terribly casual for something so scary. And so as soon as tornado is in the forecast, I personally keep like a hawkeye on the weather forecast and how it's moving, what the storms are looking like coming through our area, and we bug out, basically. We pack up a bag, we put our laptops, some snacks, other things that we think we're going to need. We pack up Finn stuff, so toys, treats, his bed, and we go to Mike's office. He's at the local university, and he's got his own office. It's in an interior room, and he has no windows. It's a very sad office, but it is, it is in a building, which is good. And it's a big, strong building, but the most important thing is they have an underground storm shelter underneath that building. So we hang out in his office, we play video games, we do whatever, and then when the sirens sound, we go downstairs and we get underground and we wait it out. And that makes me feel the best for what we're doing. Our general plan is basically get out of the bus as soon as possible, because, you know, being in a mobile structure is like the most dangerous place to be in a tornado. That's where more people die, more injuries, mobile homes, travel trailers, RVs, school buses, all of those are totally not at all even remotely safe places to be in the middle of a tornado. So, you know, we bug out. And our plan, if we're on the road, because we will be moving shortly and we will not have that fabulous underground shelter available to us like whenever we want it, but we are going to be going through sort of the tornado belt, and it is tornado season right now, and like it's been pretty active so far. We've had the sirens go off like 4 times here. It's just a thing that's really been on my mind. So our general plan for when that happens is to be aware of where we're going, what the weather is going to look like. If we can avoid, you know, a really, really severe storm with like a tornado threat, then we'll totally take that route. We'll alter our route, we'll stay in a place a little bit longer, we'll change when we're arriving, you know. We've got the freedom when we're moving usually to sort of keep an eye on that sort of thing and just avoid the entire situation, which is totally like the safest option available. And then when we get somewhere, I usually have locations scoped out for where we can go that are safe places. So what do the campground bathrooms look like? What do the campground hosts say? You know, if we're stopped at like a truck stop, is that a viable place to go? Are there places nearby like stores and hospitals and office buildings and stuff like that that have interior storage rooms where we can go and seek shelter and get away from the wind and the debris and all of that kind of stuff that's flying around and getting crazy? And then if we're ever, like, God forbid, stuck on the road and a tornado is like coming down out of the sky and coming for us and we're on the bus and we can't get somewhere safe, we're pretty much abandoning ship, like, if we can, you know. What I've read is that, you know, if there's a ditch or a depression or something like that where you can get below ground level, get down in there. Get flat, cover your head and neck, and hope and pray for the best, basically. Because, I mean, if you're stuck in that situation, or we're stuck in that situation where there is a tornado, like, bearing down on the road at us, there is no good option. They're all bad. They're all scary. They're all dangerous. Like, it's just like the epitome of horribly, terribly frightening things that could possibly happen to me. So for me, like, I don't want to be in the bus when a tornado is going on, because tornadoes can totally pick up buses and 18-wheelers and all sorts of stuff and pick them up and fling them around and send them flying, and then we're in like this giant airborne missile and we are totally dead. So that's totally not cool. The one thing that we would not do is seek shelter underneath a bridge over an overpass. So I've done a lot of reading on this, in case you can't tell. That whole thing started in 1991 when a film crew was filming a tornado, or they were filming something, and they got caught by a tornado, and so they took shelter underneath a bridge or an overpass, I don't know which one, and they filmed the whole thing, and they survived, and they released the footage, and it totally sounds like a good idea. It sounds like an awesome, safe place to be. It's like one of the most dangerous places to be during a tornado, because it basically creates a wind tunnel and funnels all of that wind and all of that debris, which is the really big danger in a tornado, right at you. And that's just super, super dangerous. And then in addition to that, there's all of the like traffic hazards that go with it, because you could obstruct the flow of traffic, which puts other people at a greater risk of danger, or you can cause accidents, and nobody wants to be in a car accident in the middle of a tornado. That's just compounding a terrible situation and making it like way, 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 way worse. So yeah, ugh, I just tornadoes are not cool. Not cool at all. Not even a little bit. So yeah, we do have emergency plans in place and places to go and all of that kind of stuff, but we've bugged out like 3 times now, so it's been good times. And yeah, so anyway, that's pretty much that. I hope y'all enjoyed hearing about my maybe slightly ridiculous fear of tornadoes, and yeah, that's pretty much that. I'll put some links down below for some of the like safety resources and stuff that I found that I've read that really made me feel better about a lot of different situations, you know, in case y'all want to read about it, because I am totally not a safety expert in any way, shape, or form. This is just the stuff that, you know, I've researched and made the decisions about what made me feel better and safer and all of that kind of stuff. So, because as much as I want to be an adventurous, carefree, go with the flow, do whatever kind of person, I am just not. And I really like having plans in place. I like having, you know, safe backups and all of that kind of stuff. It just makes me feel much, much better. So anyway, that was pretty much that. So give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff from us. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.